Hey everyone, it's Amanda Stevens, EXO Academy media trainer, and we're back for our third media training with Spacecake. Amber, what up?
Hello.
Look at her looking so great. So you guys who have watched these before, there's going to be a lot of repeat information because, media trainings, there are parts of it that can be tailored to the specific EXO Academy trainee, but there's also some parts that are just like the standard. Now, this one's going to be a little bit shorter than the previous ones because Spacecake already does a lot of dope stuff on social media because apparently her hobby is social media analytics. Some of us, we like to go shopping. Some of us, play video games. Amber looks up things on social media analytics. So
I like knowledge.
That's super valid. I'm not gonna judge you. That would be rude. But we'll start with Amanda Stevens' rule number 1 of social media. If you wouldn't show it to your grandmother, don't post it. One of the things that like people think that media training is about is like teaching you how to be like a politically correct robot. That's not what it's about. You can still have personality and have really good social media presence. Look at Sonic Fox.
Yeah.
Right? Even look at like Kitana Prime or, someone like Punk or Smug, right? Like they all have really defined personalities
And they're all sweethearts.
Yeah. Sometimes. Yeah, no. I kid. But like the thing that I want people in the FGC to understand is that like media training isn't about like turning you into like esports corporate. Like that's not what we're here for. It's about how to use your media more effectively to make yourself sponsor worthy so that, like, hey, you can afford to go to your events or you can like quit your like really crappy retail job. Right? Like, because like that's like the dream for a lot of us, right? Is to like make that paper and play fighting games. Like that's kind of hashtag goals. So,
right.
So a good way to like get sponsors is to like not get them in trouble, right? When they're like, sure, you're gonna need all of the analytics, right? You're gonna need the impressions. You're gonna need the impressions are more important than followers. You're gonna need impressions, good content. But, like, at the end of the day, they're also looking for people that, like, aren't going to, like, ruin their lives.
Right.
And so a good metric to making sure that you're not out there ruining people's lives is not doing things your grandmother wouldn't be proud of. It's pretty easy. So, yeah. So that's rule number 1. Now, you have 2 Instagrams, right?
Yes.
You have the fitness one, which is more, I think it's like more for like you and like people that you like want to follow it.
Yes.
And then there's like the actual, glow up Spacecake Instagram, right?
Yes.
So the one thing that I will tell you, as I've been learning more and more about Instagram these days, is that you need to post more. So one, a great suggestion, especially for content lazy people like myself and maybe you, is is make content at the beginning of the day, or like whatever part of the day that you have the most energy, make content then.
Okay.
Because what you can then do is then throughout the day, you're just like, oh, I'm not doing anything. I'm on like my lunch break. I have this like dope picture from the morning that I can just like share, right? And then you don't have to worry about like, oh man, I'm like not in this place with good lighting, or or like you're having a bad mental health day and you still want to like put stuff out. Like doing it that way allows you to have stuff at the ready, so like your gun's already loaded.
Right.
That also means like doing stream going live posts. Now you're really good about that on Twitter and you're really good at that on Facebook, but your Instagram, I guess it's fine. Your Instagram is a little lacking. So
yes, absolutely.
So one of the suggestions that I would do is what Kwai Face Miles does, and she has just like a bunch of like boomerang gifs I guess, saved on her phone, or maybe she makes them before her streams, but she just uses one of those, puts her, like, says, like, hey, I'm going live, puts her stream link, and that's done. And if you really want to, and this is content creator, all of you out there, this is something that all of you can use, whether you're trying to become, like, a professional content creator, or you're just trying to be someone who, like, puts out consistent content. You can pick a day, especially, like, someone like you who has, like, good lighting and whatnot when they want to have it. You can pull out a bunch of outfits, make a bunch of content, especially for something like this, like making a bunch of GIFs where you just keep changing your outfits, and you just film all of these in one day.
That's a good idea.
And then you can do that, and then on your phone now permanently, right, is just like 15, 20, just like GIFs. You know, hey guys, come support my stream videos. And you'll have a bunch of these, and since you're wearing, like, a bunch of different outfits, and, like, I know that you're, like, super into doing your makeup, so maybe it'll be a little bit more involved if you want to, like, change your look. But you could just, like, set aside a day and just, like, build up a backlog of these, and then you'll have these really cool videos and stuff that you can use, not just only on your Instagram, but obviously also on your Twitch. You could use it as, like, you can go to Streamlabs and, like, put it in as, like, a stream going live thing. Or you can use it on Twitter. So you won't have to stress about making that thing. Because I think for a lot of people, when it comes to making their media, like, everybody has bad days, right?
Right.
And sometimes you're like, I have the energy to stream, but I don't have the energy to do all of the other things that comes with streaming, promoting my stream, being engaged. And so having all of this stuff made ahead of time just, like, makes all of that process easier, so you can put more energy towards other things that you need to do during the day. It's called Life
That's
Hacks.
a great idea.
Yeah, I discovered it because I was really impressed that, like, a friend was, like, hadn't missed, like, a day in YouTube content, and he was like, I don't record every day. And I was like, my dude, you're wearing, like, a different shirt. He's like, I live at home. I can just put on a different shirt, Amanda. And I was like, what do you mean? So this summer, when I set, like, a project to record 5 videos a week, everyone thought I was recording 5 videos, like a video a day. I was not. I woke up on Sunday. I, like, laid out the 5 shirts I wanted to wear, and I would, like, record my video, put on more deodorant because it was, like, 90 degrees, and I have fluorescent light bulbs in these studio lights.
Oh, yep.
And then put on another shirt, do the pat test, and then, like, start the next video. Maybe I would, like, change an earring or, like, change how I did my hair slightly.
Yeah.
But even if you're, like, interested in, like, doing more YouTube content, right? That's, like, another thing that's, like, another way that, like, you can have stuff backlogged. Right? Because it doesn't take a whole lot to just put on a different shirt, change your makeup a little bit, you know, put your hair down, put it up, whatever, right? Like, you can do things like that to build up a sort of backlog so that, you know, even if you are like, oh yeah, you know, Monday, totally can knock out this video. Tuesday, totally can knock out this tutorial, blah, 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 blah. And then you get to, like, Friday and you're like, it's Friday. It's been a terrible work week. You know, my husbando's pissing me off. I don't want to do shit. Then you're like, oh wait, Sunday I recorded, like, 7 videos. So you'll just have the 7 videos, and I'm so I shouldn't, like, mess with Joe too much, because then, like, he's gonna see this, and I'm gonna be like, friend, it was all for the memes.
He'll be fine.
But yeah, so basically what I'm going to do for you is we're going to focus on the question that you had in your in the Discord, which was how do you engage with your audience better? Like, with people in your audience. So you already do one thing pretty well, which is that, like I said, you're super active on social media, especially on Twitter. You're getting there on Instagram. So, like, that's a great way to at, like, base level to, like, do what you want to do. The other thing that I would recommend doing is something that, like, Jamillion does, and I know Kawhi does, and Kendra does, is do, like, questions of the day.
Okay.
They're, like, pretty free roll, right? Like, either people reply or they don't, and then you do what Kawhi does this, and I know that Gem just retweets every answer. Kawhi will quote tweet a lot of the answers, not to like throw shade at people, but just to be like, oh, like that's really cool, right? And so not only are you interacting with the person who like tweeted their response, but you're also like sharing that interaction with the rest of your audience. So that's like a great way. And sometimes your question of the days don't have to be, you know, deep inspirational shit. You could be like, yo, Cheetos or cheese puffs, right? Because like I'm a big Cheetos person, but like if you show me like some like random like truck stop brand, nah, I'm like not going anywhere near that shit. Even though they're like structurally the same thing.
It's the brand.
Right? So like, but here's the thing, like people sometimes have like really strong opinions about weird shit that like you would never think about. And the only reason, like I already knew that, but then I discovered that it was like really true when Justin started doing his really fucking shitty tier lists. Cause, you know, when it's like the Game of Thrones ones or like One Piece, like yeah, you expect people to have opinions. But when he did the soda one and people were like, yo, Mr. Pibb though? And I was like, I mean, it's just Mr. Pibb. And they're like, nah, Mr. Pibb cannot be D tier. And I'm like, I mean, everyone has opinions. And they're like, nah, here are the reasons why Mr. Pibb is not D tier. Right? So like, and that's one of the cool things about social media is that like you get to like hear people's opinions about random shit that like you probably would never come up in a conversation.
Yeah.
So like that's one way. I mean, if you want to go the Justin, like the new FGC hotness trend of like doing tier lists, proceed.
I don't think so.
Proceed at your own caution, because Alex Myers tried to do a tier list and he got roasted.
Yeah, I saw that.
For his Game of Thrones one, everyone told him he was wrong. Like, Justin had some people supporting him. No, I saw no tweets coming out for Alex Myers.
Oh, the poor thing.
I felt for him. But he's in a comic book, so I don't think he cares. But yeah, so like that's a great way. One of the simplest ways to interact with your audience to like, you know, bring it back to some seriousness is to do like question of the day tweets. Mm-hmm. And, you know, it's really cool. And another great way that you could do it, especially since, like, you have your studio set up, is that you can do, like, an actual video, right? I can link you to what the Twitter video format has to be. And if you need help, like, editing your video, I probably your husband or someone else can show you how to do it. I'm really terrible at editing, so I just use my phone to record everything because it's already set to that. But if you want more use out of your setup, right, that is a thing. Yeah. But you can record your question too. Like you can type it out and then have a video, because people interact with video more than they interact with just like a regular post. Yeah. So that's a thing. There's also a thing called Canva. So Canva is an online website. Let's go, Amanda. Canva is a online thing that you can use. I'm gonna share it with you in our chat, and then I will tell our lovely patrons what it is. So Canva allows you to make allows you to make everything: business cards, posters, social media posts. And the cool thing about Canva is that it's got a lot of pre-made stuff for you. So you don't have to like be the world's best graphic designer. And I say this because like when I was doing my New Year's stream, the Evangelion reference, like You're Not Alone stream, I used Canva so that I would have like a dope picture to like get people hyped about the stream. And people were like, "Oh my god, Amanda, you stepped up your game." And I was like, "No, I didn't." I was like, "Thank you, friends. I appreciate everything that you were saying to me right now, but I have not stepped up any skill set. This is all from my website." And they're like, "This is actually pretty good." I will probably put it online to link to our patrons. I can't find it on my computer right now. But yeah, Canva is a great way if you want to like make social media posts and make graphics for them. Because one of the cool things is that if you like mess around with it and you go to the social media section, they have pre-made templates for all of the different optimized sizes for the specific social media platform.
Ooh.
So like Twitter, it's even if you don't use any of their stuff and you just like pull your own graphics in and like use your own fonts, you will still have like a picture that's like the appropriate size to like catch people's attention on Twitter. Same thing for like
nice.
Tumblr, same thing for Instagram. So that's why I really recommend it for people who may not already be like graphic designers in any sort of way. I'm not, so having sites like this is like super helpful for me. So that's another way that you can sort of engage with your audience a little bit better. Is like I said, one of the things that a lot of people don't realize is that like pictures, video, regular post.
Right.
Like that's the tier list, and there's just no argument. Nobody's gonna say like, oh man, nah, I prefer just straight text. Just give it to me, just straight block of text. No, nobody wants that.
Right.
So that's another thing. Also, just like do more casual stuff. Like you could do like Periscope or Instagram, or like go live on Instagram, right? And even if you decide that you don't want to make YouTube content, like your makeup looks are fire, and you could like just set up, like it's really cheap to buy like a tripod for your phone that has a ring light.
I have one somewhere.
Yeah, I have one. I want to get a new one because I found out that you can get ones that have like a built-in ring light, and those are only like $35.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they're super cheap on Amazon. But like,
I have a ring light that you just like clip to your phone, but it's
Same.
kind of crap.
Same, but I'm like, I like kind of just want it all in one thing because like I want to travel with less stuff, not more. But
Right.
the cool thing is like you can say, hey guys, I'm going live, and you go live and you're like, I'm gonna do my makeup because a lot of you have said that you really like my makeup looks, right?
Yeah.
And then like people can join and you can have a chat with them, and it's like an IRL stream, but you're doing it on Instagram so that people can see it, and you like add it to your story. The way that you can just be more involved with your audience is just like also doing the Alex Myers thing. So I was really impressed that Alex did this. A couple months ago, he went on r/Street Fighter and was like, hey, I want to make more YouTube content, and I want like you guys to like it. So what do you guys want me to do? And people replied to that thread, and he got a lot of really good advice on what he should do with his YouTube content. So don't be afraid to like ask your Twitter audience, like, hey, what do you want from me? Like, I want to make more content. Like, I want to be more of a content creator and not just like this cool person you follow on Twitter for like my hot takes and my good looks. So what do you guys want? Being open and honest with your audience and treating them like people is super powerful, right? Mm-hmm. Because those are the type of people that we engage with more. Like, sure, we like watching Ninja or like Dr. Lupo or something, like those big like 10,000 viewer streamers, right? But the ones that like we really interact with are streamers of our size, right? In the like hundreds, where like they can actually look at the chat and it feels like they know who you are, right? That's where that real engagement comes from, is because like you feel like that person in some sense knows you, even if like it's not like a super personal connection. You at least know that like they see you come into the stream every day, and they remember that you said you had finals last week. Just like those little things will like really help with your engagement, because like people will realize that you're not just like some clout chaser, or you're not some FGC honey, right?
Right.
So those are some very basic things on how to engage with your audience better. Is just be more personable, be more direct with them. Just ask them what their needs and wants are. Try to be creative. Like I said, like maybe doing an Instagram stream where you're just like doing your makeup and like talking about your day. Or like if you watch Game of Thrones like everyone else does, talking about the latest episode. And you'd be like, yo guys, spoiler warnings, like we're talking about Game of Thrones right now. One of the things that you also asked was content, like specific content creation ideas. Are you working with, what's his effing name? Corey Gaming? I've been having really bad memory issues. Are you doing a training with Corey Gaming?
No, I have a James Chin, I think.
For commentary. Okay, so I guess I can do this with you since you're not getting... Because I try to avoid going into into Gerald's field if people are doing a training with them, because then it's like double, you're getting the information twice. But since you're not doing with Gerald, so content ideas. My biggest suggestion is the one that I already gave you, which is that if you want to make content, it needs to be consistent. And so one of the ways to avoid consistency issues is just picking a day and treating it like a job and just recording a bunch.
Okay.
Now, for ideas, that really depends on what you want to do. Do you want to be like Smug and it's just a bunch of stream highlights? I'm
probably going to do like a variety of things.
So you're going to be more like Justin's channel, right?
Yeah, probably.
Okay, so I don't know if you follow Justin. I mean, everyone follows Justin because you brought up the list. But like, so Justin's YouTube channel is like a bunch of shit. It's stream highlights. It's talking about like the neutral, right? It's anime thoughts, right? Like he tries to like really kind of do everything. The one, so that's a really hard. I mean, like it's both easy and hard because like you have a bunch of things to pull from. So the one thing I will say about that is remember like what your limits are based on like what you know how to do. Right. So one of the problems that a lot of people run into when they want to do content creation is they're like, I want to do like this YouTuber, right? And what they forget is that YouTuber either has like learned Sony Vegas or like Premiere or makes enough money that they pay an editor. Right. I don't know how good your video editing skills are.
No, that goes to Joe.
Oh, okay. So like be aware of like what Joe's limits are. Yeah. And try to like focus on like that. So one of the things, what that means is that, and you know, is that like you have a conversation with Joe about like, these are what I wanted. This is like what I want to do for my content, and like tailor your idea to what you can actually apply, like what you can actually put out. And the reason why this is a really big deal, and this goes to all of you watching this who have like seen the Exo Academy stuff and have been like, I want to get into content now too. If you set your goal within reasonable expectations and also reasonable like skill set, you'll be much happier with the end product, whether it gets 12 views or 1,000. Right. And that's just because at the end of the day, like one of the reasons why we get upset about like how our content does is because like we had this big dream of like what it was supposed to be. And then you like do it. And if it doesn't hit the numbers that you want it to hit, and then you look at it and it doesn't look the way that you wanted it to look actually, then it's just like a whole myriad of feel bads. But if you do a project where it like fits within the confines of what you can do and hits your expectations, then it doesn't matter if people trash it on Reddit or people poo-poo it and like don't watch it. You'll be happy with the product. And like, because at the end of the day, you should always make your content for you. Right. Like, sure, we all want to be YouTube stars, right? Like we all want that free, we all want that free money. We all want to be Ninja with our like 1 million a month and like Twitch subs. But like the reality is that like you should start with making content for you, and then the next goal is to make content for your best friend. And then usually if you do those two things, you'll get a following because there are people like you and there are people like your best friend. Right. For you, I guess I would come up with like 3 categories since you want to be a variety YouTuber. I would come up with 3 categories that you think all of your content your content will fit into. So like if you're like makeup tutorial is one, which I think it's pretty obvious that that's like a free one for you. Yeah. Right? Like that's something that you get a lot of compliments on, and you know, those I think you can kind of like bang out pretty easily once you like learn the formula. Then it's like, do I want to do stream highlights? Right? And then figure out like, because the cool thing about the first 2 is that those are sort of easier, right? They're pretty formulaic. You just like say like, hey Joe hun, like these are the clips that I want to be like strung into a highlight video, right? Right. Makeup, you already know how to do your makeup. It's just learning about how to talk while doing your makeup. While doing it, yeah. Yeah. Right? But once you learn that, that's also something that you already know how to do, and it's something that I think your audience would like. And then your third category can be whatever. If you want to do vlogs, if you want to, do reviews, right? Just figure out 3 things, because too much variety can hurt a channel.
Yeah.
Because you'll get people, because you did an anime review once, but like you're only going to do one anime review every like 3 months, right? So they disengage. Or, you're like, I'm going to talk about Game of Thrones, but like when that season ends, what are you going to talk about, right? So you might disengage your Game of Thrones viewers. So you want to keep it to like 3 things so that people, the people who like sign up for that get that frequently. Right?
Yeah.
So that's my general content creation sort of suggestion. I am looking at the time. Boom. We have been at this for I don't know, because it's not telling me. Oh wait, because I'm in editor. I'm not in live. Oh, it's not telling me in live either. Dope. So, oh no, what did I do? What did I do? Oh, because I'm not looking at you anymore on... Whoops. So, people, there was an Amber that whole time when I was looking at stuff on Discord, I swear. Technical difficulties. But, so, that's content creation. Do you have any questions?
No, I think you covered it.
Okay. One of the things that I do need to talk about is that one of the things that might happen now, because you're in EXO Academy, and I know it happened a lot more of the Wave 1 people, is that you might do more interviews.
Right.
Right. People are probably, especially probably in and around Combo Breaker, right? That's yeah. So I'm going to go over some basic interview practices.
Okay.
1, when someone requests an interview, before you say yes or no, you should always ask what the topic's going to be.
Okay.
This is because more times than not, it's going to be fine. They just probably want to talk about you, combo breaker, character choice, blah, 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 blah. The standard stuff we see in a lot of FGC interviews, right? Mm-hmm. Sometimes people might have seen a take that you had and they like have an opinion. And so they might want to make your interview about that. And sometimes we don't sign up for that, right?
Yeah.
So you always just want to ask your interviewer, like, hey, like, that sounds really cool. What are we going to talk about?
Yeah. Right?
Just have that sort of easy conversation with them. And if they're not willing to tell you, then proceed at your own risk.
Okay.
Right? This isn't to say that, like, interviews are a big, scary thing. They're really not. It's just, they should be just a conversation. They should feel like you're talking to somebody that you know or you, like, have a shared interest, right? Mm-hmm. But you should be careful of interviewers that aren't forthcoming about what they want to talk about. A good journalist and a good interviewer has no problem telling you the subject of their interview. It's just a fact.
Okay.
So be aware of that. The other thing to keep in mind is once you know what the interview is going to be about, sort of start turning over in your head what you want to talk about. So let's say I say to you that we're going to do an interview about how you got into streaming, right?
Okay.
Right? So you would start thinking in your head, let's say like, I'm like, hey, I want to do an interview with you. It's going to be about your stream career, you know, the stuff that you got to do with Adult Swim, right? Mm-hmm. So I say to you, it's going to be next Tuesday. And you're like, yeah, dope. Between now and next Tuesday, write down some just general thoughts that you want to talk about, right? You want to, you're like, you want to tell, if you have like a funny way that you remember that story with how you got involved with Adult Swim, write that down and sort of practice it. Now, folks who are watching this isn't to say that like I'm saying like, oh, all interviews should be like pre-scripted, but it helps the interviewee be more competent. right? It allows, because like you don't want to, when you're watching an interview or reading an interview with a specific person, you're rarely doing it because you like the interviewer. You're doing it because you're super interested in either the subject or the person being interviewed. Right. And the audience wants the best version of that, right? And so telling Amber to do this allows her to get into habits that will allow her to always present the best version of herself. Because that's what media training is about. It's not about changing who somebody is. It's about allowing you to have the tools to always present the best version of you. Now, let's say you have an interview on the fly. You're like at Combo Breaker and like St. Cola runs up to you and he's like, hey, I'm going to interview you. And like when are you done with pools? Cool. Can we do it in like 45 minutes? Obviously, you're not going to be able to like write down a bunch of thoughts and whatnot. In those situations, just take your time. You don't have to answer things the second you've been asked the question.
Right.
Right? If I say to you, we'll use the original question, right? If I say to you, do you like Cheetos or do you like do you like a store brand cheese puffs? Right? You don't have to say, well, you know, I kind of like Cheetos, I guess. Like, you don't have to, a lot of people who have never been interviewed before, and a lot of people who like watch interviews, right? Usually they see that like that person answers immediately, right?
Yeah.
You don't have to. Even if it's a video, you might feel pressured to like have like 0.5 seconds between question and answer. Take your time. Take a deep breath. Formulate what you want to say first. This just makes you sound like a competent human being. And right. I think at most times we want to be viewed as a competent human being.
Yeah.
So it's like super important and valid that we do it that way. That we just take a moment and we pause. Which brings me to my next point. And I'm super bad at this, and it's definitely happened a bunch of times during the videos. Avoid, especially if it's an audio or video podcast, interview, avoid or likes.
I'm bad about that, yeah.
So, here's a trick to, because if you notice, I've been talking a little bit more purposefully. The trick to this is, one, talk like you're writing a sentence.
Okay.
What that means is talk like you're going to use a period. When we think about a sentence, we know that we're supposed to pause when we see a period. So talk in the same way so that you're allowing yourself to take breaths and also string your thoughts together better.
Okay.
It's a really challenging thing to get into the habit of, and I'm only really good at it when like I'm actively putting that switch on. But it allows you to avoid doing ums and uhs. Likes are fine because the way that I talk, I tend to use like as a way to throw shade. Or as like a way to let you know that shade's about to come.
Okay.
So when I was on Cheddar Esports, when they were asking me about Justin Wong and Chris T talking about pushing back Capcom Cup by like 2 hours, I remember I said, like, you know, I guess it's like hard to be a pro gamer for a living. Right? So you can still use like, because I think that policing the way people say like is sort of policing people's like way like education level too. So I try not to tell people to not say like too much is the better way to say it, because it's just how a lot of people talk. It's really hard to remove it from your vocabulary. It's something to work on. But and usually happens because you're not cognitively where you want to be in your thought process. And so taking more natural pauses when you speak will allow you to string your thoughts together better. And we're going to practice that right now.
Oh, Lord.
So people who have watched the previous media trainings have seen this. I have this really adorable Tokidoki book. And it has 365 questions in it. And it's supposed to be your daily journal for a year. And I'm going to ask you a question. And you're going to do your very best not to say or.
Okay.
You ready?
Yeah.
Let's find a good one. Do you believe in magic? Why or why not?
That's a hard question.
Do you not believe in magic?
I don't.
Oh,
I don't
no.
know. I'm very scientific based.
Mm-hmm.
So I prefer, scientific proof of things. But I also think I'm very childlike as well. So a part of me wants to believe in magic, and then the more logical part of me is just like, that's dumb.
But that was good. You paused. I don't know if you were doing it purposefully, but you paused a lot.
I tried.
You paused a lot where people would say and right?
Yeah.
And that's basically what it's about. It's about recognizing in your own speech patterns where you would normally say or and just circumventing that with a period. Mm-hmm. That could also, so one of the benefits is that you stream. So you can also watch your streams and sort of see how you talk. Because we're not always cognizant of how we talk. Some people, when people tell you oh, you're a fast talker, and you're like, no, I'm not. And then someone shows you a video of you talking, and you're like, yo, fam, you didn't have to at me. I should have just believed you in the first place. But yeah, so that's a thing. We're going to give you another question.
Okay.
Which TV character reminds you of yourself, and why?
Sailor Mars. Does that count? Does
yeah.
anime count? Okay. Yeah, Sailor Mars. I've always identified as her. And as a child, I realized that it initially came from a place that I wanted to date her. But I saw myself as her a lot because we had a very similar attitude, just very sassy and loud, and you can't tell me what to do.
Right? It's super easy. And it's really funny that you did something that we discussed and you did it in two different ways. So in the first question, you knew that you didn't immediately have an answer. So you just didn't say anything at first, which is great. That's the thing that we talk about not rushing to feel like you have to fill that space with an answer. And then the second question, when you were confident, you were just boom, ready. And it even showed you didn't have to pause as much. So that's just a cognizant thing, right? You want to make sure that you're using, I don't want to say tools because it's not right, but you want to make sure that you're just always aware of the way you're ready for that question.
Yeah.
And if you are on video and you don't want to feel uncomfortable about having that space from question to answer, especially for people watching, you can say, that's a good one. Or, ooh, I don't, right? Do one of those just to fill that air. So you're not pressuring yourself to answer the question right away, but you're still sort of letting your interviewer and the audience know that you're still there. You haven't mentally checked out. Another thing to do. So that's all during the interview stuff.
Right. Make
sure to not say and give yourself opportunities to be able to think about the question if you need to. Obviously you knew exactly who you identified with. After an interview, one, thank them for the interview, even if you thought the interview was garbo. Right? Don't shade people afterwards, right?
Right.
Because then the interview might not go out, and then we've missed the opportunity, right?
Right.
We want more coverage, not less. Mm-hmm. So that's number one. Number two is make sure that you get their contact information, whether it's get their business card, get their Twitter, and say, hey, this was really fun. When can I expect this to go live? They'll give you an exact date. This is going up, today in like 4 hours, or this is going to go up in 2 weeks, or this should go up by the end of the weekend. And then around that time frame, circle back with them, send them a DM, be like, hey, just want to check in, what's the status of the interview. And when it does go live, you should do a myriad of things. Number one, make sure that you like and retweet their thing. Okay. Number two, you should make an organic tweet. Because what'll happen, and you probably notice this with yourself, you don't always click on everything other people retweet, right?
Right.
But how many more times do you click on something when somebody tweets it themselves?
Yeah.
Right? It's just like a basic thing. We're more inclined to click on links of that people organically put out than we are to click on something that's retweeted.
Right.
Because we give more leeway to the people that we already follow, whereas if we see something that they've retweeted, we tend to click on it if we're like super into the topic.
Right.
So doing that, it's the same thing for your audience. They're more likely to click on your interview if you say that they should. Mm-hmm. So that's just the thing. Organic tweets just do better, and it's also good for you because it means more eyeballs on your thing because you're bringing your audience directly over to it, and then it also is going to help out that person. That person's also going to remember it, right? Because organic tweets make us feel like, coming from the content creator side, organic tweets make us feel that like we did a good job because you're into the thing that we did with you. Mm-hmm. And we might come back to you more for stuff. Even if it's a quote or, hey, I'm, doing a panel and I'd really like to have you on the panel. Like, doing these, like, personable things opens up more opportunities.
Right.
You never want to, unless, like I said, if it was, like, a scummy interview, you still do all of, like, if you didn't like the person, you still do all of the other stuff. But you don't have to be, like, personable to them afterwards. Right?
Right.
But if it was net neutral or positive, stay in touch with the person. That's like how I'm friends with St. Cola. I mean, it also was a really funny interaction. But, like, it was a really cool interaction, and we just stayed in touch. Right? But that was because we both go to journalism school, so we know the same tricks. We both realized, like, oh, be personable. Like, stay in touch. Like, these are just good things. And then also, like, you can use them for content, right? You can have them on a video to talk about what they do or stuff, like, depending on like how you want to take your content. But it's just it's just always better to keep a door open than to close it. What I see a lot of people in the FGC do, and just esports in general, is they don't always keep constant contact with media, and then they don't have a lot of advocates. Like, media is a really good advocate for you if you like have a bad situation with your team or a tournament, right? If you know there's a journalist out there that like you had a really good rapport with when you had an interview, you can reach out to them and be like, hey, I was at Combo Breaker and this like really creepy thing happened and I didn't feel that Hado sort of handled it properly, and I'd really like to tell you what happened. Maybe you can kind of do research on it, maybe do an article about it, right? But if you don't keep that media connection, you don't have that option, right? You just have to have all of the then you have to play all of the cards, right? Instead of having another advocate. And I mean, this is probably less of a thing that could happen with you because of, you're on a team with your partner. But let's say you weren't on No Good Network and you were on Equinox. I love everybody on Equinox.
Me too.
But let's say you had like a bad experience on Equinox when you split ways with them, right? And you're like, I want to tell my story, but if I tell it, people are going to think I'm just like a salty person. I was going to say probably a not appropriate word for the Patreon. But like, you can see, do you see where like I'm going with this though? Is that like, if you keep a good rapport with a journalist or an interviewer, it gives you somebody who can give you a platform to talk about something, and then it's their platform, so it doesn't always look like you're like, so people can't just be like, oh, well, she's salty, because if you were just salty, you wouldn't get another interview, right? Like, if someone thought it was just coming from a place of salt, somebody wouldn't let you use their platform for your salt. Mm-hmm. So that's a thing that I think people should be more mindful of when dealing with the press. Is that, like, we're kind of here for you, so use us.
Yeah.
Now you're gonna have homework because we're reaching the end of this.
Okay.
So this beautiful Tokidoki book with all of its wonderful questions, I'm going to give you a handful of them, and you can either use them for your question of the day, or you can use them to practice your not saying and ah.
Okay.
So what I'm going to do is give these to you, and what I would like you to do is don't do them all in one day. Do once a day, single takes, answering the question, and then watch the video back.
Okay.
See if you say watch your body language. Use your tripod, please, because watch your body language. Make sure you're not, like, touching your face too much or anything, and that will help you get better. Because if you do a lot of multi-takes, then it's not about practicing your natural reaction to things.
Right.
If you do single takes and then just analyze the video, then you can apply that stuff to the next video, and you'll see a more natural progression. Multi-takes trick you into thinking that you have, like, a redo button. It's why TV and movie actors sometimes have trouble going back to theater.
Right.
Because on a TV show or a movie, if you fuck up, you cut, take it back from line blank, right?
Yeah.
If you're on theater and you fuck up, you just have to keep going, right?
Yeah.
There's no redo button. So that's why when I'm training people, I try to get them to do single take stuff, because single take stuff will force them to build those natural habits.
Yeah.
Is there anything you want to talk about? Is there anything that you, like, think we could have covered, or do you think we hit all the points that you were looking for?
No, I think you hit all the points.
All right, dope. And patrons, thanks for being a Patreon. We really appreciate it. We can't do the EXO Academy without your love and support. Make sure to keep cheering on Amber. And don't worry about me. You'll see me in like a couple of days with SVL.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know her actual name though.
I do not either.
But enjoy, guys. Sorry that there were some technical difficulties when you guys stared at my Discord screen and not Amber. I don't know how to use this thing. This is why I let Kichan and Romanova record the first two. But yeah, later, guys. And then
bye.